Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. Of course, I am the co-host, or one of the hosts. But I don't know. So, I don't know. Sorella, she always trying to like change stuff, and
that's been the most consistent thing that we didn't had on this show is the fact that you've been the co-host. So I don't know about everything else, but that's been consistent.
So we want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out to come and hang out with us. I hope that your life is doing well. I want to ask you in this moment, definitely, how's your mental health doing? Those of you that are watching, how are you doing mentally? How are you managing things emotionally? How are you coming to terms? Has 2023 already overwhelmed you? Where are you in your life? What are you doing? So, really, how you been? Like, what's going on with you?
Being honest, it's kind of funny you should ask that. I was doing well, all the way up until my son had a car accident back in July. Totaled his car or whatever, and just little by little, I just been kind of like noticing some changes in behavior and all that good stuff. But so I kind of popped up on him. And I'm glad I did, because I know he don't watch me anyway, so I can, I can be as open about it. But, depression is definitely real. He's been a person who's really kind of always had it together. It's never been any issues. Straight out of high school, he went to the military, was stationed in Japan for a while, came back. Instantly, got his degree in 2.5 years, and has been working. Like I said, never any issues. Yeah. But this happened, and ever since then, it's just been kind of like a downhill thing as far as like withdrawing and everything. And just me personally going through stuff. I mean, I consider myself a strong person. I've been able to, balance life, 3 kids at a young age, and kind of not having anybody but myself to kind of depend on. You kind of get it to where, you just figure it out. And we had a conversation last night as I drove in, and I was like, I just want to know, like, are you okay? You don't look okay, but I want to know in your words, like, you ain't got to tell me what's going on, but just, are you okay? And when he said no, it just brought tears to my eyes, because it's like, that's a situation as a parent that you feel helpless.
Yeah, for sure.
You feel helpless, and it's like, monetarily you can give. Yeah. You can give love, you can give all of that, but when it's a mental thing, that's something that they have to deal with on their own, and they have to be in a position to where they can accept what's happened and try to move forward. Yeah. But he's an introvert. A real like hermit. Can you imagine a hermit being depressed? And as a man, like he's one of those, like he's always been responsible, and it's just like when he had texted me, he never asked for anything, but just for money to eat. Kind of find out he's been off work 2 weeks because the car broke down, and I'm just like, I need you to just talk, open up. It's nobody's fault that life is happening, but let's get ahead of it, versus, like trying to basically clean up, So I just say that again. My aunt, I talked to her. She brought something to my attention that he was the favorite baby boy with my grandmother. Okay. So she passed, a few years ago, and thinking about it hasn't been the same, since then. But for me, I'm not a man. So I could imagine, the vulnerability behind that piece kind of being and then the fact that you not wanting to feel like you're bothering people, too, because his comment was, I said, well, why you ask your sister? She got her own stuff going on, and like not addressing it is not the problem, the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes you're in trying to not be quote unquote deemed as selfish by impeding on someone, especially for men in particular. Some men, rather, some don't care. They'll just they'll take or they'll just say whatever. I think sometimes, because a lot of times vulnerability has been deemed as a weakness instead of being considered a strength. I'm strong enough to tell you that I'm not okay. I'm strong enough to tell you that I'm in need. I'm strong enough to let you know that I'm not in the best space. That takes a strength, especially for those that do the best they can, and work as hard as they can and piece things together. The depression. The thing about depression is that a lot of times you're screaming internally, and so something in me is broken. Something in me is crying out, and so instead of it being released, it's killing me inwardly. It's internalized. It's working against me. And so one of the things is, being able to admit, or being in a place to say, man, I need your help, or feeling like it's safe enough, or if I have asked in the past, am I still holding maybe a past experience to say, you know what, this has taught me to just maybe never ask again, or maybe the person has vented to me about things that they feel about other people, that they're always being asked, they're always being pulled, and I don't want to be that person to make them feel what they always feel. There's a lot of different scenarios and thought process a lot of times in your head. And so the notion in that is, and because I'm a very advocate about mental health, mental space, it's finding somebody who is totally not biased, not connected to the situation, but has I believe the education or the expertise or the wisdom, as I would say, to help me walk through this process, even for nothing else, to get it out, to get it out. The encouragement for confession. Confession is good for the soul. It's very therapeutic. I immediately think about how in junior high school, how they would have you sometimes go out into the middle of the field after one of the periods, and you just go out and they just say, I want you to just yell as loud as you can.
Right, yeah.
And we'll be out there just yelling and not understanding, but naturally it releases. There's a pressure, there's a relief, and there's a release a lot of times just from being able to have a moment to just exhale of the things that are happening to you. I am concerned for the mental health of us as a nation, as a people, no matter what your background is, no matter what profession it is that you're dealing with. But just taking a moment to regroup and reset and process and talk. My desire for those of you that are watching, that you do, I would call even a connection check, right? And what that is pretty much evaluating the people in your life, is asking yourself, is this somebody or this a group of people that I can actually be really transparent with? Most relationships are relationships that people find themselves secretly competing with one another, right, or performing, and we're only connected as long as I'm doing what you deem as need for you to do. And we were created for connections. I think that's the thing that we kind of like stop thinking. Now, I didn't say that we need to be around a bunch of people. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that we were designed for connection. And one of the things when COVID came around, I had a family relative that told me that when he was dealing with COVID, he said having to isolate like that for so long, he said he would sometimes get in his car with his mask on, with everything, and he would just drive, not get out of the car, but just drive around the neighborhood just to see people because of having to have that connection and being able to be in the world. And God created us for that. And so God wants you to connect, but you want to connect with the right people. You want to connect with people that you can be open with, that you can be honest with, not being deep. I know, but this is important to me, that people that's praying for you, that's encouraging you to make sure that you're okay and that you're all right. Do you need anything? How can I serve you? What can I do, to make sure that you're good? And you knowing that it's okay to say, I don't have it.
Right.
And you knowing that it's okay to say, but also needing to deal with a resource, because sometimes from disappointment consistently, it can cause a issue in your soul, right, where it causes you to be like disconnected. Like you don't want to deal with nobody. Some people, they'll stay in the bed for days and days. They won't get out, hoping that sleep would, be the thing that caused them to, when they wake up, maybe all their problems will be over. Some drink themselves in the friend. Just mechanisms of coping mechanisms that a lot of times we do to escape, because we don't want to deal, and we're hurting, and we're frustrated, and we're tired, and what we're doing is not working, and I need a strategy, I need connection, I need relief. And so thank you for sharing that, man, because that's a real thing. That's a real thing. I'm definitely going to be, lifting him up in prayer, man, because that's important. So, as a mom, I can only fathom. I'm not a woman, and I'm definitely not a mother, all right? So I can never say that I understand your emotions, your thought, but I can only imagine as a mom, as a female, just this is your son, that is dealing with this. And so, I know that he will pull through. He's able to be okay. God is on your side. And so, yeah, those of you that are watching and taking this moment, that are parents, I think this is an opportunity for you to just check on your children, whether they're grown or not. Even if they're excelling in school, they may have all A's, but it don't mean they're not under pressure. Just have you noticed any changes in their behavior? Some may be watching me like, child, she just bad. But I'm not. He just bad.
Even though you got to check on him too.
Check on them. Check on them. Make sure that they're doing okay. Ask them how they handling certain things. Even how are they handling their relationships? As children, friends. Because bullying is definitely in society. Peer pressure is real. A lot of times, people will try to fight you for not, going along with whatever they believe and stuff like that. It's a real thing. There's this thing out with cancel culture now. Yeah. They take sound bites or take little things and out of context, and because of perception, right? They don't perceive it the same, and so now let's just shut them down. We got to do better. Okay, we got to do better. Let me tell you something. The world is great because many of us, based upon your experience, you bring a different process of thinking. And we have to learn how to embrace others. I think what makes the world great is diversity. You don't see it the same. What you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of our own experiences. It's like, you do have some people that, are just group thinkers, and, that's basically, to me, sometimes it's people who are afraid to have their own opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Or that, may have been criticized, by the way they think or whatever, and not really accepting the fact that you're your own individual and you have the right to think the way you think, whether or not someone agrees with it or not. And like you said, the world now, social media and everything, things get blown up. And then it lasts for so much long, and it hits harder than it has in the past with people just kind of dealing with things. Sometimes you have an opinion, it gets out there, and then you're not accepting of the fact that someone doesn't agree or that kind of, and it blows up. It's really unnecessary. Yeah. But that's just the world we're in right now. You have to have a tougher skin just for no reason. Yeah. Once upon a time, it was cool to be different, and now it's kind of switched that you have to be part of some type of group. For sure. And, that adds, extra pressure on everything. Yeah. And also, too, I was thinking, about the fact, because when I was talking to my aunt, and she was like, well, you know, what about counseling? And that's a big thing in the Black community, that people, you know, tend to shy away from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the fear is behind that. Mm-hmm. Is it, you know, they don't want people in their business, or
sometimes,
or is it like, you know, thinking that they're going to be pinpointed as they're doing all these things wrong, or what? But on the flip side of that, people accept coaching. So I know that's something that you're on both sides of that.
Yeah.
So if you could just kind of explain, like, to the audience, like, what is the difference and what you think as to why a person would choose one over the other.
Well, coaching a lot of times has to do with your present. So it's about giving you strategy for your now going forward. Counseling is more about reaching at the root. And a lot of times people are trying to run from what happened to me when I was 6 years old, 7 and 8, 9, 10, you know, like the root of it. Most of the time people are like, just tell me what to do right now. Tell me, okay, I need the motivation right now. And it's both important, you know, right. But I teach, I train life coaches. I actually just did one about over a month ago. We were able to help some and do some training with some life coaches to help people get them certified where they can get moving forward and get release those strategies for the present, you know, to know exactly what's going on. But counseling, the beautiful thing about counseling is that getting a counselor helps you deal with your why you're the way you are. Mm-hmm. You know, getting a coach is like, I'm getting strategy for now. I'm gonna work on these things, but sometimes true healing comes from where did it begin? How did I get to this place in my life? Anger. Maybe it didn't start in the divorce. Maybe it started from the abuse from a parent.
Right.
Abuse from a childhood friend, we believe. You know, like how did it begin? When I was in school, I was cool with people, but I had a very hot temper. I know it's hard to believe.
Really?
Yeah, it was horrible.
I
can't believe it, huh?
I can't.
That's what happens when honestly, when God comes in your life.
I can't even see that. Like,
yeah, because I'm like, just cool now. Yeah. Don't think I don't still struggle sometimes. I was just the other day I have my moments of even road rage. Traffic, I don't understand. Hey, keep moving. Stop going.
It's not that simple. You got to get a degree in traffic nowadays.
I mean, it's serious. You really got to get a degree. I like, hey, y'all don't even care about these people. Keep going.
Right.
Go. Okay,
you talking about the look of when it's accident?
It's an accident, and I mean, and I'm talking about you can't be moving this slow. Listen, they're trying to fix their tire. You're not going to help them. Keep it okay. Yeah. Sorry, I had to tangent. But anyway,
I feel you.
I mean, I'd be really upset. But anyway, I was so angry. I would fight at a drop of dime. I would snatch you up. And a great deal of that, the root of that, it came from I had got abused by my stepfather. Mm-hmm. I was 4 years old, and he beat the brakes off of me with a water hose. And it was so bad till after that he had done it, he took alcohol. Yeah.
On an open wound.
Yeah. Wow. And my mom and I, we were talking about it probably a few months ago. We just bring it up, just talking, you know, and I laugh about it now, even though it's not fun. I laugh about like how I want to kill. Yeah. In my mind, I said, when I get 18, I remember thinking, when I get 18, because that was always, even as a little kid, you ain't grown till you're 18. When you're 18 years old, you know, I don't know why that always stuck with me. But for years, I would rehearse in my mind, when I become 18 years old, I'm going to get him for what he did to me at 4. Mm-hmm. And so since that time, along with other experiences, anger was the way I protected myself. Anger, because here I am as a little kid, little shorty, did nothing that I could even think of that was worthy of that.
Right.
and I was a victim of his anger.
Right.
And so in light of that, in my mind, I'm gonna always get you before you get me. I'm gonna always punch you in the mouth before you even think you finna come at me. And so these are ways you begin to protect yourself. And so what happens is in counseling in these moments, and you start having these transparent conversations. Tell me about your upbringing. Tell me about how you grew up. Tell me about things that may have happened. And so a lot of times we have pushed that
way back.
You have
to dig it up.
And so maybe, you're acting out now, but you're like, yeah, it's because they tried me. No, what they did was they triggered you.
Yeah.
They triggered you. The trauma began at a young age. And so now things that remotely even put you in that space, you're now reactive because guess what? You're trying to protect yourself.
Right.
Because I won't ever let somebody,
do that to me again.
I
mean, because that, and that's another key point is that at that young of an age, you're helpless.
Yeah.
What are you really going to be able to do against a grown man
Nothing.
who has, felt like they have the authority to do that at will?
Yeah.
So it's like, I couldn't even imagine having that type of, especially if it was a situation to where it's always in the back of your mind.
Yeah, for sure.
I owe you one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, God definitely done worked on you because I never would have thought. I mean, your temperament has always been.
That's just chill. Yeah.
So.
No, I and let me tell you, I definitely get upset, and I will have to, and this is why our connections matter, because I will call one of my friends. Listen, man, I need to vent, and I'm going
going in. Yeah.
And because you're human. And you're human, and you hurt, and so it brings us again in these connections. And I want to ask you a question: those of you that are watching, are your connections safe? Are you really around people that you really can trust with you? I mean, for real, not. And sometimes there may be levels to this, and it doesn't necessarily mean everybody that you're connected to in this moment that maybe they need to be cut off, but maybe the placement needs to change. Maybe the place and the role that they play in your life, because so many people are walking around with disappointment and unaddressed expectations.
Yeah.
Unaddressed.
About that.
so I'm real big on now. Say that. What are you really looking for? For weird. Not like what. I don't care if it's ministry, business, whatever it is. What are you trying to get out of this? What are you?
Some people deflect though.
For sure.
When you bring it, it's almost like they're not even used to a person being direct with
for
them,
sure.
And it's for me, I don't know, like that's all I know. And it wasn't always like that. How yours is. Like I used to be one of those people that just let stuff happen. Let me stay over here. That ain't none of my business and all that. But some people consider it aggressive, but for me, it's to keep my peace. Let me keep
we don't have no misunderstanding.
Let me keep my peace. Like, hey, this is what it is. Give you an opportunity to talk about it. Oh, you don't want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay, at least you know where I'm coming from. And it's layered on top of meeting people where they are, accepting that, you know what I'm saying? Like not pushing what it is that I'm thinking, feeling onto them, because, whatever people got their own stuff going on.
They do. They do.
So, but one thing you can't say, you cannot say.
Didn't say I ain't give you a chance.
That I ain't give you a chance. There you go, right there, packaged in a box.
I told you, I asked you, I gave you that moment, and to be honest with you, sometimes that is uncomfortable for some people because they're not used to transparency,
Yeah.
and some are not used to receiving honesty, and some are just not used to being honest.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other subject.
Let's get into it. We got time.
You know what?
A lot of people in them categories now.
Yeah, and no, there's the difference between telling the truth and being honest now. Because,
Yeah, that's true.
because truth is, that's the right answer. But honesty is forthcoming.
Yeah.
It's not just it's the intentions behind it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's what you didn't have to ask me that. I just came out and just told you. Mama, son, did you eat the cookie? Yes. Honesty is, hey, Mama, I just want to let you know I went and ate the cookie. See, that's
why you was when you told me not to. So being honest, I shouldn't get in trouble. It ain't not wrong with that either.
Yeah.
Just putting it up, out there.
And a lot of times it's the fear in
the consequences.
Yes, or lack thereof. I don't know what your response gonna be.
Yeah.
And sometimes the fear of is I don't want to lose the relationship. And so
check that box. Check the box off. And I had to tell a good friend that was on this panel too. Rip that Band-Aid off. Rip it off.
Don't start this today.
I'm just saying. While we own it, we own this subject. Go and rip that Band-Aid off, because here's the thing. And this is, to me, it is not healthy to have to keep going, and you use word rehearsing things in your mind. If you've already had a thought and it's been simmering for a while to where you got to reach out to other people to see what they think, you already rip it off. Keep it moving. Say what you need to say. Get a person an opportunity. If they choose not to, then okay, keep it moving. But at least you're clear on your end as to what, because it might be something they have to process, might be something that they kind of like, now what just happened? But you never know. Life is about opportunities. Like you some stuff is, I don't know, a little extra maybe on some people's part, but some stuff is meant for your development too when dealing with people. Because what's the worst thing somebody gonna do? It ain't finna beat nobody with no water hose, I can tell you that.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
But giving opportunities and thinking about yourself in the end, because if things are bottling up to, you need to address that, because that's not.
And a lot of times, it's because if I told you my truth or being transparent with you, would you leave? Because sometimes the hard part about it is a lot of people do struggle with a great deal of abandonment and rejection, right? And so I'm gonna continue to project or put on the person that I believe that you need and the one that you want, because that in some ways makes me feel accepted, right? Loved. But I'm fearful of maybe being transparent because I don't want to be seen in a different light or being misunderstood. Because here's another thing. Sometimes people, if you're on the receiving end, how well do you receive people in their honesty too? Because sometimes people being honest with you is going to teach you things about yourself.
Right.
Because that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
Because, see, what another person's honesty does for you is it shows you what's your capacity. And I think that's a very important dynamic. Can you handle them? Do you? And this is why we need honesty, because when you're honest with me, it lets me know what's my capacity. I'm able to kind of see, because maybe I am graced to handle it. Maybe I am the person for you. Maybe I'm not. Right. So you need it both ways. You need it, because it's also it's not because this is just a need to know basis and this, that, and the third. No. What happens is this conversation is important because it shows whether or not I have capacity. It may teach me something of what it is that I need to be in your life. Also, it says for you to be able to open up and give someone the chance to be that person in that place that you've been searching for or haven't had, and in a friend or relationship, whatever that is. That is. So we got to be. That's why we need that clarity, right. And so that we can know what going forward looks like. Because dishonesty, what it does is it takes away my opportunity to choose. You're choosing for me.
Exactly.
You've robbed me of the opportunity, one, possibly to really be what you need,
right,
or to change what we need to be as a whole, right. Because I don't want to rob you from what you need simply because I don't have that capacity.
Right.
I don't have that capacity. Not saying you're a bad person, not saying anything. It's just I don't have that capacity. And so this is why that is important. And so that those of you that are watching and listening, however, do you have capacity? Do you have the capacity? Do the person or the people around you, do they have that capacity? While you're doing all of these things, while you're spending this money, while you're spending this time, while you're doing whatever it is that you do, that may be a good time, it may be this. But for those of you that are wanting something long term, whether it be friendship, whether it be relationships, whatever it is that you have, is it worth it? Do you have that capacity?
Right.
Now, I know most of you may go in and ask, do you be keeping it real with me? Ain't probably going to say yeah, even if it's true or not. But
but that's a valid question, though. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like relationships, however, friendships or whatever,
no matter what it is,
it's just, they need tune-ups, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Checkpoints and all that, again, however people view me and how my mind works. Mm-hmm. It's important because you're not the same person that you was 6 months ago, a year ago, or whatever.
Absolutely.
And neither am I.
Absolutely.
So it's called for a regroup to sit down. Like, hey, I used to have with my kids growing up. We had a family fun night on Fridays. Nice. And I gave them the opportunity to whatever it is they had on their mind. They could speak it. They could say it. They could. Nobody's getting in trouble. Nobody. That was the best thing that ever.
That's pretty cool.
Was implemented in our household.
I like
because
that.
Even though sometimes I feel like they would save stuff until Friday just to not get in trouble, but what I learned is that they're consciously aware, right? And then removing the fear of getting in trouble or getting mad or whatever the case may be, it puts you on a level playing field where you can be able to be honest in a situation. Perfect example. It was one Friday night. I was dating this guy, and he had kids, which was almost around my kids' ages, and my son, it was circle time. He was like, they always here. Why are they always here? You know what I'm saying? Like, this our house. Why are they always over here and this and that? I like them and all, but can't they just go home? That was like, oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think of it that way. Because they always were, integrating, and it's like, okay, they want their space. And I had to respect that. And then when I shared it, it was like an aha moment for him too. It's like, you know what? That's cool. And in his mind, he was like, and here it is, we invading your Friday with the kids too. And not saying that they're not welcome, but not realizing how it affects everybody else. What if he probably waited till that Friday to tell me about that, but how long that's been pondering in his mind. Yeah. And it's to me, I thought that was, I don't know where I came up with that, but it worked. I mean, even with just dealing with stuff over the years, that people ain't going to their mamas no more to talk about stuff.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, and to be honest with you, some of the betrayal hits hard when mama betrayed you.
Right.
When daddy has betrayed you.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole nother conversation to think about when my parents are not safe.
Right.
Oh man, that's the one that brought me into this world is not even a place I can lean on. That's some
She didn't watch either, but you know
that stuff is deep.
Yeah, and but you know what it does though? If you really evaluate the situation and you take into perspective how you felt about the situation, you try to make it your business not for that to repeat.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of what I did with my kids. It's like I didn't really have a relationship because my mom gave me away to my dad and my grandma. And I just couldn't understand. Like, I'm the only girl.
Yeah.
Every mama know you got to keep your baby girl close. You know, so, you know, for a long time, it was almost like, well, why? Never got old enough to ask the question. You know, I felt like her answer was fair. You know, my grandma could take care of me better than she could at the time. But that should have been a conversation, not just a
for
drop
sure.
off.
For
sure. So after I was able to process that, I was okay with building a relationship or allowing my kids to build their own relationship with my mama, which having nothing to do with my thoughts or my feelings toward what she had did in the past.
Yeah.
And, you know, it worked. But she not that easy to deal with even now. But that comes from rooted stuff too. You know, Thanksgiving, I met my uncle for the first time. Right? He's the baby of all of them. I think it's like most of the time is you know your mama's side and don't know your daddy's side. I only know my daddy's side and not really my mama's side.
For me, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Well, I know both sides of my family, but really know more of my mom's side. So yeah. I get it.
So we got a chance. My youngest brother and I, we got the opportunity to ask some serious questions that we never would have gotten a response from her, and it kind of shocked us. We thought that it was she might have had a hard life. This, you know, and he was like, no, she was one of the ones that took care of everybody. And I'm just like, now what? I'm glad I didn't get that information before the healing, because then I would have felt some type of way. Now, how are you taking care of all these people and you not taking care of your child?
Yeah.
You know, but it did kind of open my eyes a little bit as to, you know, how she is. She withdraws too. She got some trauma that she ain't dealt with. But it's hard to ask for help, and because she's been the person that people go to for the help. So it all makes sense putting it all together, but at the same time, I don't know what it takes for some people to, you know, for it to click to say, hey, I need to discuss this with somebody, or, you know, why am I the way I am? You know, it was easy for me because my pastor, he had said something that triggered me, and me wanting to search a reason as to why I was the way I was. He said a person that's always got something to say, that's cynical, that's sarcastic, that is rooted in something.
Absolutely.
And I had no idea.
Absolutely.
I thought I just was, you know, smart mouthed and that's just part of my personality. But when he pointed that out, it's like, you know what? That's important to me. I don't want to be viewed as a person that always got something. That tough stuff, that don't mean nothing to me. I'm really a person that, you know, has a heart for people and this and that. So I do care how people view me, but at the same time, like, the things that's important to me is to be honest, to be truthful, to be transparent. Some people can't receive that. I'm okay with it, you know, but I really want to be everything that I'm supposed to be, and you can't be that with things that you haven't addressed yet in your life. That's causing that I call it a little drip of the little drip that every time you turn around something is triggering you. Like that's a life of torment.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back at it, I'm just like, okay, I ain't like people for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. And it's a blessing that you were able to even recognize that, man, because sometimes people float through life, right? And they never deal with it. Like they never come to that discovery. They never take the introspective.
I think if I had not had, like, my pastor, when I tell you, it was such a level of trust to where he was so grounded that it was like not as a worship a man type thing, but because I know he's
leaders. Yeah,
it's like if he said it, it must be true. I got to find why, and that it took a couple years. I thought it was gonna be simpler. Working through everything, because once I worked through that, I figured I had something else going on. But I was like, okay, how deep does this go? But I'm willing to do the work to work on myself, because I got kids, I got people who actually run to me, depend on me for stuff. So I don't want to be reflecting any negative on them in the process of counsel. I've always used to wonder though, like, I got all this stuff going on. Why y'all coming to me?
Yeah.
But I get it now. Best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I mean, I ain't finna stop being transparent. Now I probably can tone it down a little bit, maybe, but but that's just one of those things that you just, once you embrace it and it works for you, you really kind of don't see nothing else. Truth. Yeah.
Man, that's some good stuff, man. That's some good stuff. And so I know in order for us, those of you that have been watching, what we're saying here today is that we want you to take the moment to evaluate your connections, see exactly where you are. Are you being transparent? How is your mental health? How are you doing? But then also being aware of those around you. Sometimes taking a moment to maybe doing family counseling, just having somebody to help mediate. One of the things is there's sometimes barriers in communication, and you want to be able to have, sometimes that counselor is that interpreter. Remember, they're not biased, right? So they are coming in, and if it's just like shopping. If you go to one and what you're looking for is not there, don't be afraid to go to another, right? If I can't find what I need in Walmart, definitely I'm going to Target. I know Target probably got it. So I'm very passionate, and no shade, Walmart. I still love you, but I'm just saying. But understanding that whatever it is that you need, I want you. We here, not just we here at the Butterfly Effect. We want you to be okay. We want your family to be okay. We want you to prosper in every area of life, your relationships. Whatever it is that you're doing, your finance, we want to see you prosper. And so realizing that in transparency, communication, in connection, in safe places, these are some of the vehicles or ways by which we know and believe that you're able to lead a more of a healthier and a wealthy life. We thank you for tuning in. Until next time, thanks for hanging out. Have a good one.